and the boat left them and went to another location, and they got left in the ocean, and then they went out into high waters and like heavy waters, and then they ended up swimming to an island and making it to an island, Lani or Laney, and they made it there, and then they ended up like writing SOS on the sand and everything, and some locals came and gave them water, and now they have a $5 million lawsuit against the boating company, but they left them out there. They did a head count twice, and the people there said they counted that there was 2 missing, and then they did another head count, and they counted that everybody was there, and then they left, and the 2 people would have been left, and they just would have drowned in the ocean, like theoretically, if they didn't make it to the island, and like they would just been like, oh, nobody even knew what happened to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's scary.
And they made it to another island. You little handsome boy.
And the island people lived on, obviously, because you said people brought them water and rescued them, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. And at first they said like how like scuba divers were doing lawsuit, and I'm like, oh, it must be some like petty thing, like they're being petty or bougie about it. And then I was like, oh wow, they really got like left out there, and like the boat left, and it made me realize something, that like you should never lose hope. Like I've seen all these, never lose faith. Like I've seen all these things recently that have been like, and it makes me kind of worried, because I'm like, is some kind of crazy like situation gonna happen in my life, like even crazier? Because I've seen all these situations recently that showed me like no matter what, don't lose faith. Like these are people that are scuba diving, or no, I'm not sorry. These are people that are snorkeling, not even scuba diving. These are people
they
that are
don't
snorkeling.
have like oxygen equipment or anything, right?
These are people that are snorkeling. The cool thing with a snorkel is you can kind of float and snorkel. So it's like you can kind of snorkel for way longer than anything else, because to face down float, you can really float for a long time. And with a snorkel, it's like you can kind of survive for a while. But it's still obviously very dangerous. But the ocean is more flamboyant, or more, not flamboyant, more buoyant. But I've seen a lot of things recently that made me realize that we should literally never give up faith. There was this other situation I read about recently, and I saw a thing on it. This guy was on a boat. The boat crashed in something like, it wasn't the Great Lakes, but it was somewhere where it was like a really big lake area. The boat crashed. It went 100 feet underwater. Everybody died, but the cook, the chef who was in the kitchen, there was like, you know how sometimes there can be air pockets and things, like a cup, you can put a cup underwater and there's an air pocket. There was this little small room in the bottom of the ship with an air pocket in it, and he was down there for 3 days at 120 feet under the water. And for 3 days he was in pitch darkness with water splashing up against him in this little like 12-foot cubic area or whatever, over like a water pocket. And the scuba divers came down to search the ship and like get the bodies out of there and everything, and they end up finding a living man down there that's been down there for 3 days 120 feet under the water.
When that happened?
I don't know when it happened.
Wow.
He was not an American man. I think he spoke Spanish or something, or another language, but it was remarkable. Could you imagine being somebody stuck at the bottom of a 120 feet underwater for 3 days by yourself in this little dark thing, getting hypothermia and darkness, you have no food, or maybe you had some food, I don't know, no light or anything.
Hanging on to faith.
And you're just, well, you probably don't even have faith at that point. You're like, I'm under the water, nobody will ever find me. You're 100 feet under the water, nobody, and all of a sudden people come and find you. You're swimming out in the middle of the ocean. I read another article where some guy was, again, he got stuck in the ocean for 24 hours. And he floated for 24 hours and somebody found him.
Wow. That's amazing.
So it's like, don't ever lose faith.
Yeah,
you literally could be at the bottom of the sea in a boat, in a little hole, and you can still get out.
God knows where you are. If God wants you, he'll take you. But if he doesn't want you yet, you're not going. He'll send help.
Well, it has a lot to do with us too, not just what God doesn't want for anything. God, what do we want? Do we want to live? Do we want to make? Do we want to be a survivor? Or do we want to give up?
That's true. It's what you're creating as you go.
Correct. It's not what God wants. It's what we want.
God gives us that choice.
I love you. You're so beautiful. You're so beautiful.
Aw, good boys.